Hello, algebra students. We are going into chapter 3. Chapter 3 is solving inequalities, and 8 total sections in here. And today, this tutorial is going to focus on the first one, just an introduction to what inequalities are and the graphs and what they look like. I'm going to go ahead and jump into our notes. And we're back. So section 3.1, inequalities and the graphs. A couple of little warm-up problems here. This is back in the day, I think a couple years ago. Leonard had signed a contract in 2020-21. This is, I think he signed this 2 years ago, that he will earn a base salary of about $34 million. And after 3, he will have earned more than $103 million. So the key word here, this is a stats that I found online, whether it's through ESPN, and the key word here to emphasize is more than. That's what we're going to be looking at. That's what inequality would be. Another famous person that you guys all admire would be good old Justin. And a couple of things that I found about him, just do some research. The annual $3 million, so at least he earns this much. That's a word that we're going to be looking at in today's lesson. You're going to also see words that at most. So a monthly, he makes about at most $300,000 a month at most. And what's interesting, more than on a daily, he makes more than $13,000 a day. So again, this is just information that I found via line. But the key things here are the words that we're going to be using today. So inequalities, and I think this is not new to you, but you may have heard things such as less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So less than is this symbol, and it looks like an L, okay? It is less than. Greater than is in the opposite direction, greater than. You have less than or equal to, which means I'm going to put a little line here that could possibly be equal to, as well as greater than, the same thing. So, for examples, if you could have some algebraic expressions at all real numbers, x less than or equal to -7. So we would write x less than or equal to -7. So like -10, -100, -8. 0 would not fit into this. If you want to think of the number line, there is your 0, there is your -7. So it's everything that's going to be less than or equal to -7. The next one, 6 less than a number k is greater than 13. So you got to be careful. I see the word less than, and we just talked about less than, but we got to remember here there's a less than and then there's a greater than. And this is actually going to be written as k less than -6, the old switcheroo. You see the then part, so it's a flip-flop, is greater than, so I write the greater than is greater than 13. So you got to be careful when you see less than, and here's a, like I said, here's a less than and here's a less than. And this one is pertaining to less than a number k, and then it continues with greater than. So you got to be careful when you're writing these out. Okay, so what are going to be the solutions? In this first 4 sections of this chapter, you're going to have inequalities that look something like this. 2x plus 1 greater than -3, which means we're going to have to solve for x. But in this intro section, we're just trying to figure out some possible solutions here. And in the previous chapter, with chapter 2, solving equations, we came up with one answer. X could be one answer, or it could be infinitely many answers. That's true, or no solutions. But in this case, we could have multiple answers. So, for example, would -3 fit this? So to do that, you just do your simple substituting. So replace x with -3. And then do your order of operations. 2 times -3 is -6. -6 plus 1 is -5. And then you got to ask yourself, is -5 greater than -3? Is that true or false? And of course, that would be false. -5 would be less than. So this is not a solution. Well, let's try -1. Let's go ahead and drop in a -1 for x. So I just fill in my numbers here, my expressions. Go ahead and do the order of operations. 2 times -1 is -2 plus 1. Is that greater than -3? Well, that would end up being what, a -1. Is that greater than -3? That is true. That is a solution. That's true. And if I also want to check out 2, let's see, I want to get a 5 greater than negative. That is also true. So you can have multiple answers here as a solution form for these inequalities. It's just not 1, 2. You could have multi-solutions. Just another quick example. Consider here 4 numbers, -1, 0, 1, and 3, which are solutions to this equation. So if I wanted to quickly just figure this out, equal to 6. See, if I put a -1 in there, I'm going to get 13. Googe on that. -7 times a -1. Is that going to equal 6? No, that's not going to work. So -1 is not going to work. Well, let's throw in a 0 now. That's going to be 13. No, that's not going to work. 13 is not going to equal 6. Let's plug in a 1. Let's see, I have 13 minus 7. Is that going to equal 6? And that is true. That would equal 6. Can I stop there, or should I check 3 out? Because it's an equal to, you're just finding one solution here. And the one above, there was multiple solutions, and 3 would not work. So we got to be careful. When you have inequalities, you could have multiple answers here. In this case, because it's equal to, we have 1. So when we talk about graphing the solutions here, x is less than 5. Well, if you were to graph a number line, I'm going to put 5 right here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put the next 2 numbers next to it, a 4 and a 6. Now it does say less than, so I'm going to put a circle on here, and x is going to be less than 5. So is 4 less than 5? Well, that's true. Is 0 less than 5? That's true. Is -10 less? Yes, that's all true. So I'm going to shade, and because it doesn't say equal to 5, I keep that circle open. So this is showing all the possible answers, and it's infinitely many. I mean, you can see how this graph would continue on forever. If I were to graph the next one here, x is greater than or equal to 34. Put your 34. I'll put a 33 and a 35. I'm going to put a circle. It does say equal to, so I'm going to shade this in. And which way do I shade? Well, is 33 greater than 30? No, it's not. How about 35? Yes, it is. So I'm going to shade in this direction. And I like to emphasize my arrow when you're shading. Give a little more definition of that arrow. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a little matching. N is less than 1. Okay, so it's not equal to 1. So I'm looking for an open circle. So it's not going to be the first one. It's not going to be the second one. It's either going to be, well, it has to be this one because that's a 1. It's less than 1. So 0, yeah, so this is going to work for that one. The next example, A is greater than or equal to 0. So the equal to tells me it's going to be a shaded in dot. So I'm just over, yep, it's going to be one of those two. Greater than 0, well, it has to be this one right here. F is greater than -3, so it's not an equal to, so it's an open dot. So it has to be, well, it has to be this one right here. Okay, so for the last one, -2 greater than or equal to x. That just doesn't read nice. It's very hard to understand that. And I know what the answer is going to be up here. That's the last choice, obviously. But you're going to want to rewrite something like this. Always have the x on this side. Just it reads nicer, so I'm going to put x, I'm going to put the -2, and I got to be consistent. See how it's pointing to the negative or pointing to the x? You want to also keep it pointing, be consistent, so it reads now x is less than or equal to -2, and that makes sense. This is the answer right here. So when you have it reversed, it's difficult to read. There's also a shortcut here. See how this arrow is facing that direction? It's less than, look where we're shading. See how this one is facing, the way it's pointing, and our answer for this one is shading in this direction. So this is emphasizing greater than or equal to when A was right here, and this was emphasizing N is less than 1. So how the arrow is pointing is how you shape. That only works if the variable is on the left-hand side. Okay, so if I was going to graph these or solve these, this is going to be some letter, some variable. I'll just use X. I have a -3, and it's going to be an open circle, and I'm shading to the left, so it's going to be less than. You could use another variable, N. I have a 0, so I'll put 0. And N compared to 0, well, N is going to be greater than, and it is equal to. You can use any letter, like I said. I'm going to start with a B, and starting at -1. And it looks like B is going to be shaded, is greater than -1, and it is also equal to. And then finally, you can use a variable and a 4, and it looks like it's going to be shaded left, and it's equal, or it's not equal to. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just finish this out right here, then I'll assign your assignment. But you may see things such as starting at trail ride starting at $19.99. Let C be the cost of the ride in dollars. So it says starting at, so it's probably going to be greater than or equal to $19.99. Yeah, could it equal? Yes, it can. But could it be more than that? Yes. Is it going to be less than that? No, it's not going to be less than that. Here you have a road sign. S is a legal speed limit in miles per hour. And if you see something like this, if this is the speed, S is the speed, and you have 8, is this okay to go greater than? Well, probably not. That looks like more of a caution sign. So they're probably suggesting to go less than or equal to 8. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump into homework problems here. Let me just grab our assignment. Here we go. What I'd like you guys to work on are the following numbers. So 8 and 10 are writing it out with an algebraic, with a variable, algebraic inequality structure. Then you have 12, 14, and 16, and you could have multiple selections here. You could have all 3 could be solutions, or none of them could be solutions, or 2 of them, or 1 of them. Match each inequality with its graph. It doesn't look like the graph showed up, so I just want you to how about we draw the graph for each one of those. Same thing for 20. Oh, let me just highlight these here. I'm going to highlight 18, 20, and you're going to continue up to 34. Okay, so that's a good amount of practice. So you're going to be doing these right here. Okay, that concludes our tutorial. If you have any questions, please contact me. Thank you.